Well, hello, everybody out there in YouTube land and in the podcast sphere. Welcome to another episode of Raising the Grade. I'm your host, Eric Russell. This is sponsored by Rising Tide Landscapes. Today I have maybe one of my favorite guests, potentially. We'll see how he does. I'm just kidding. But Josh Munns and I connected over Instagram. And tell me a little bit about your company, what it is you do.
So, thanks for having me, first of all. Appreciate
100%.
it. So Ground Up Careers was built to help attract people to the industry. So my passion and my goal behind what we started was to show people that construction is a great career opportunity and that the industry is different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for sure, and different today than it was last year. And so there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of good companies that are out there, but they get overshadowed by the negative connotations of construction, of no retirement, no career paths, no vacation, no paid benefits. That's changing. And so as we had 85 employees in my last company, and we were building custom glass enclosures, we did storefronts, we did custom homes. We were turning away work left and right because we couldn't get the workforce that we needed to continue to grow the company. Mm-hmm. And really started to open up my eyes to the industry and what the issues were and how it was directly affecting us, and figured let's find a way to show people that it's a great industry.
I love that. I'm obsessed with construction myself, and being a newer business owner, being in the trades for a while, my eyes have been open to just how hard it is, the challenges that are around finding good labor, legal labor, qualified labor, people that can step up and do what you're asking for, maybe with minimal supervision. But that's been my biggest challenge, I think, is going out, explaining everything, having a clear, drawn out, detailed plans, and really reviewing everything, and then coming back and be like, I thought we talked about this, and having to kind of change up things once in a while. Before I get off on a huge tangent, I do tend to throw a curveball at most people. Tell me a little bit about you. Who is Josh? Go back a little bit. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? What's if somebody is thinking, oh yeah, I know that Josh, what are they thinking?
Well, I was having a hard time with that this morning, thinking about it as my way here, because I've actually been in the construction industry for 31 years, and I'm only 46.
Awesome.
So it's been a long time in this industry. So at 14, I started my own construction cleanup business. I ride my dirt bike around from job site to job site, because where we lived, there was houses being built everywhere. And my mom was in construction. She had a window and glass business. So I grew up in the industry, in the trades.
Cool.
And saw an opportunity to go make money cleaning up houses. So I was born in Reno, Nevada. Still live there today. Grew up in construction. My mom started a window and glass company when I was 4 years old. She was 23. She had me very young. And she grew that business to be very, very successful. Over 125 employees, over 25 million in sales. She was the largest glass company, window distributor under one roof in the country at one point in time.
Good job, Mom.
Single mom, didn't graduate high school, had me at a young age. So her success story in construction is really motivational for me and for the industry, to show people it's unlimited possibilities.
Yeah.
So grew up in Reno. We built houses, live in them for 2 years, sell it, move into an apartment, build another house, live in it. So I was always in and out of construction forever. And from there, from there, wanted to do something a little bit different. So I ended up going to Hawaii for 7 years. Moved to Hawaii, had a whale watch and snorkel business in Lahaina Harbor.
Oh, cool.
It was fun. Had a great time out there. Had an amazing time. Got to see whales and dolphins and diving.
It sounds like you retired for a little bit.
It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Met my wife out there, Brenna. We've been together for 21 years now, married 16. 2 young kids. I've got a 14-year-old son, well, soon to be 14. And then my daughter just turned 11 last week. So
cool.
It's been a long run and fun so far.
What a pedigree, though. If I'm being dead nuts honest, I feel like you were forgive me, but like born and bred for this. Like,
Yeah.
like you can't get much better than kind of ending up where it sounds like you did. So, take me through, when did you get into kind of like out of glass into homes, and then making the switch to, look, I'm going to get outside the bubble and start helping everybody else in the bubble?
So I've tried to leave construction several times out of pure just frustration because the industry is tough. It's hard to work in. And, having a company with 85 employees in 2 locations, managing cash flow between you're trying to get paid by your contractors and paying vendors and paying payroll. It's a stressful business and low margin a lot of times too, especially as a distributor of windows. But we installed a lot of what we sold as well. So that business was fun. We did a lot of really interesting projects, but stressful at the same time. And so we decided to sell that company in 2018. And the reason why I did that was to get into, helping the industry and trying to see if we can't make an impact to show people awesome careers.
I love it.
So I was so busy with that, I didn't feel I could do both. So decided to sell that company in 2018, started Ground Up Careers in 2019. And since then, I've just really been trying to make an impact in the industry, to show people there's great companies, there's good opportunities, to get more people in the industry to help build what we do, because without them, we can't build anything. We need people.
Yeah, I think the company needs the person as much as the person needs the company. So would you say you're a good medium for both? Are you kind of like exploring companies at the same time you're exploring employees, or are you maybe weighted one way or the other?
So I'm definitely weighted more heavily on the company, because
Okay.
I want the companies to be a representation of what the industry actually looks like.
All right.
So if you can highlight companies that are taking steps forward in technology, offering better benefits, offering paid time off, offering a career path, an opportunity to advance your career, and show somebody like, if you start here, you can end up here through these steps and increase your pay and increase your opportunity to grow. If you can show those companies, it's a better story to tell than the companies that treat people not the way they should be treated or don't have benefits. And so it's really a focus on the company, because that's the story that's going to change the industry.
Right. If the training's in place and stuff, you're able to take somebody maybe right out of high school or with limited construction knowledge, or maybe even just has the work ethic but not the knowledge base. And if that company's got the training in place and the steps to get there, it's kind of a good handoff.
Without a doubt. And I think that's probably my biggest frustration with the industry, is that most companies overwhelmingly don't take the time to invest in training and development.
I'll jump in there. It's expensive.
It is.
And I'm already starting to see that, like, I've got, these dreams that probably need to be here for now, before we get there. But I mean, I think that this has been this whole podcast adventure, and really, I think earlier I was telling you before we got on here, is like, I'm not exactly sure why I'm doing this. And I think this is one of the reasons, is to get content like this out there. A lot of the people that I've had on have had really neat journeys and stuff, but I'm starting to see more and more folks who are maybe industry pros or very specific. And the training you can go and pay for classes for sure, but if you're creative, the classes are usually put on by the vendors, and they're pretty darn good. Now, at the high level, you're going to have to go get certified, and you're probably going to have to pay for that. But I think it's out there if people want to go chase it down.
Well, and I would agree with that. There is training available, but I really think that the training has to happen within the companies. I think as a company, if you're a plumber, an electrician, framing, carpenter, whatever, you need to bring people in and train them on the job, and have, while they're actually making money and learning. Sending someone to a trade school is only going to get them so far.
Sure.
Right? And in my mom's company, so it was J&L Windows, she did that so successfully that she never had a training program officially, but she brought people in with no experience and would put them in the field and would actively have them learn. And we have guys who started off as a screen loop and adjust. They go put screens on windows. Not a hard job to do. No skill really involved with that. And throughout the 20 years that she ran that company, 25 plus years, ended up being the manager of our commercial department. So he had a good career path and good growth because she gave him the opportunity to do so. And so if companies will take that mindset and find people who are willing to work, who want to work, but don't have the skills, but train and teach them within your company, you're going to get loyalty. You're going to get them to work for you how you want them to work in your company, because everybody's company is a little bit different. Not everybody's the same, and how they work and how they operate. So, I think it's up to the business owners in construction to make a difference. I really do.
For sure. No, I could appreciate that, and I hope I didn't misconstrue. I think I'm both and as well. Like you go to the training, and then we come into the field and we apply it.
Yeah.
But even to that end, so many of the people that I've met with are willing to come on site, begging to come on site. So it's really there. I think it's kind of like water seeks its own level. Once you kind of start poking around a little bit and you're looking for that, all of a sudden, all these training doors kind of start opening for you.
Yeah, and then there are training programs out there. There's companies like NCCER who has a pretty good training curriculum that you can put into your own company and do. But you have to have a trainer. It's expensive, like you said. You have to invest in the time and to do it. But there's not overwhelmingly like training out there that's just ready to go. It's pretty limited.
You kind of got to put your mind to it. I just joined I think it's the ACLA, Arizona Landscape Contractors Association. They've got some great trainings out there. And I think it's just a matter of, if you want it, you've got to go and find it and then do it.
Yeah.
And I think I say expensive, but it's kind of like pick your poison too. Would you like to pay now, or would you like to pay later when you're going to go back and do those repairs? And so we've got a 5-year workmanship guarantee at our company, and so this is something that already we're having to go back and do a repair here and there. Full disclosure, I don't think I've worked anywhere where they're not going back for repairs. So I do want to get away from that to a great extent, but right there's an example of kind of pay now or pay later. So I'm already really pushing on the guys, hey, let's go and learn this better. Let's go get certified in this so that this doesn't happen again.
Without a doubt. And if you're a plumbing contractor, an electrical contractor, whatever you are, whatever trade company you are, without those people in the field working, you don't have a company. And like you said, it goes the other way. Without the company, you don't have the job. So it works both ways. But if you want to have quality and you want to have efficiency and you want to have jobs done the right way, you have to spend money on training and development. And that's my biggest frustration with this industry, is that it doesn't happen. It's very, very rare that I find a company that is actually instituting training within their own company. It's more like, hey, I need somebody who's got 5 years experience who can go do this and go jump in and go and do that job now. Well, you and everybody else. So how are we helping the industry if I'm just going to steal somebody from company A and put them in company B just because they pay them $1 an hour or more? Like, how is that helping the industry? It's not. It's hurting one company and helping another.
Yeah.
But overall, the industry stays where it is, or even actually gets worse, because we're not developing new people in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're brothers there. Like, I think we definitely align there. I love your company name, Ground Up Careers. Rising Tide stands for Rising Tide Lifts All Boats. So we're hoping to do that too.
Yeah.
I'm actually really curious to see if there's some partnership that we can form over time with some chats, and stuff like that, because I get it. I absolutely get what you're talking about. So after this, we, off camera, we have to talk about an idea I have that I think could be kind of fun and powerful in the Valley. I'm anxious to see your take on that.
Yeah.
Where do you see? So earlier we were talking to the owner here of this facility, and we were talking a little bit about AI. Speak to kind of the uniqueness of construction, the trades, and technology, and how those two marry together, and what you see happening with the future in construction versus other lines of work.
Excuse me. So I think that, so I've had this conversation several times over the past year and a half or so about technology, because I think technology in construction should be really exciting and should really help us attract the next generation of workforce, because there's amazing things with BIM and modeling and 3D renderings and being able to put on a pair of goggles and walk through a virtual building, seeing all the details. There's some really neat things that are happening in the industry that I think are attractive to the generation that is coming into the workforce now, who wants to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And so
you got to bridge the gap. You've got the oldies and you got the youngies, and it's like, this guy smokes 3 packs a day and tells you exactly how it's going to get done, whether it's right or wrong. And this guy's trying to learn, grow, and change the industry. So how do we cross that bridge?
Yeah, and I think that I think there's pluses and minuses to some of the technology. So when it comes to managing a company with digital clock in and out for your workforce, project management software and systems, I feel very sympathetic to the subcontractors because there's so many platforms to use. So as a sub, you might have one builder using Buildertrend, another one might be using Procore, another one could be using ConstructConnect. I mean, there's so many different platforms. So as a sub, you've got to use all these different platforms for all your different bids and all your different invoicing, and so they're strung out across all these different platforms. Where the GC is like, well, no, but it's mine. Use mine.
Because it's me. Yeah. Because I've got an ego. Like, I do appreciate that.
So does that make it harder now in the industry because we're having to do more tasks online, or is it making it easier? And I think it goes both ways, but I do think that there's a hindrance with technology making things take a little bit longer to get done.
It gets in the way sometimes.
It does.
And it's funny because I don't think you'd hear many people say that. But being somebody that, like, I'm dying to get out from behind the computer. Yeah. And it's tough, but why? Well, because technology. Because now I've just got more boxes to check.
Yeah.
So I am excited to see maybe if that doesn't get changed as things move forward technologically, and with AI or agents or things like that, where you're actually able to talk to kind of like it's a general intelligence AI that'll go, oh yeah, okay, you want to take this invoice from Builderton and stick it into your QuickBooks and then send it off to so and so. I got you.
Yeah.
Done. So I'm excited about that.
And that stuff does make it easier. I mean, those systems do make our jobs easier at some points. But with us, I also own a general contracting company, and so we do general building all across the state of Nevada. And I've got guys who work for us who are in their 60s who've been doing it forever. And I'm like, hey, here's your daily log, and this is how you do it. And they're like, okay, and they do it and they learn and they listen. And I've got younger people that work for me who embrace it and just absolutely love it and dive into it. So getting those two to work together, it is working, and it is getting better because they do see the value of it. So if you can show the older generation the value of why we're doing it, and it helps to make their job maybe a little bit easier, then they embrace it, right? So it's how you handle that interaction.
You hit on a nail right there, and that is the why. Ask somebody to do something, well, maybe they'll go do it. Explain why as you ask them to do this or that. Like, we're going to do this because it solves this, this, and this. And then in 6 months, when they say, hey, you broke my figurine, we got a picture that says, well, sorry, because we took a company cam. We shot it before, we shot an after when we're taillights and all cleaned up and everything. And so that's a great point. I think the why really matters. We've got to get the why in front of the guys.
It does, but at the same time, it does take longer to do things now because you're doing more steps. Where it used to be a handshake and go get it done, or it used to be guys just had the skills and the knowledge and they would go and you knew it got done. But today, we have a workforce issue in construction. It's not a secret. We all know that we're short-staffed. We know that the quality is getting less and less. We know there's a lack of training, and so we see all that. But how it's affecting the day-to-day jobs is it's taking that much more time to get things done. It's taking that much more attention to detail to watch the subs who are doing the work, because either the owner's overwhelmed and doesn't have the right crews to get it done, so he's not managing their crews properly. And so you're finding these issues where people are rushing through to get it done because they got to get to the next job. So I'm finding that it's taking more time to do the same thing just because of the workforce issue.
Man, preach. I've been in construction pretty much my whole life at some degree. Started at a lumber yard and then went outside back in Oregon and then doing this here. And I think you're nailing it. So what do we do? How do we get over this hump? I know you've started a company for this, but what are some action items that maybe other owners that are watching this can do? Should they reach out to you? Have you kind of explored maybe some of the training platforms that are out there?
So yes, and yes. So that's where I find my biggest, I think, frustration with the industry is because I do think that company owners are the ones who are going to have to fix this issue. I don't think it's not going to come from anybody else. I think it's going to come from within the industry, and taking those steps to institute the technology in your company to make things better and streamline. And and then instant training. It's a major part, but it's, like you said, it's expensive and it takes dedication to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether or not you go use another, platform like say NCCER or any of these other training programs that are out there, or you just do your own. Like you don't have to have it doesn't have to be super formal, but you have to have the conversations with your team as to, again, why you're doing it and how it benefits them. So if you hire somebody with no experience to come into your company, and you have a guy who's been with you for 20 plus years with experience, and you set them together and say, hey, you have all the knowledge and the experience. We need to pass this knowledge on to the next generation. You have so much within you that needs to be shared. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be a workbook and pencils and papers and notes. It just has to be taking the time to care and actually show them and teach them and then help them to get better. But it also takes finding the people who want to do that. And that's the biggest argument is this generation doesn't want to work. And these people don't want to work. They don't like construction. Yeah.
Also.
I don't think that's true. I disagree with that 100%.
I agree. I think they just need more exposure.
They do. And I think that they need...
Because it's freaking fun.
It is fun. It's fun if it's done right? Mm-hmm. But if the walls are on fire every day and,
Yeah, fair.
There's plenty of companies who are taking on more work than they can handle. Mm-hmm. They don't have the workforce to get it done. They don't have the skilled workforce. The walls are always on fire. They're always putting out fires. They're always chasing their tail. That's not fun to work in, right? It's not. So people leave that very quickly because the stress gets transferred to the employee very quickly from the owner because the walls are on fire and nothing's getting done the way it should be done.
Everybody's getting screamed at because it's all pointing downhill.
Yeah, but that's what makes it. Those are the challenges that we face, and how we fix it. I think it comes down to. Unfortunately, it just takes a little bit more people to get it done. It's going to cost you a little bit more, and you're going to have to charge for it. And so,
I think there's a net positive at the end of this show, though, because especially as an owner, I think that if you can invest heavily on the front side and you get those people really well trained in your processes and procedures, it becomes more and more hands off.
It does.
As opposed to always I got to show them how to do it because I know how, and you talked about the old guy and the young guy. And I think that a lot of culture, I guess at least that is populating my reels and stuff, is more about share the knowledge.
Yep.
Stop trying to gatekeep. Nobody's coming for your job.
No.
Share your secrets. Because at the end of the day, we're only here for a blip.
Yep.
And your secrets, short of maybe some Apple code or something like that, you know what? They're just serving you. I think back to this AI thing that just, I don't know when this is going to air, probably 3 or 4 weeks from now. But, here in February, a couple weeks back in January, America has been just dumping money into OpenAI. And it's closed source. And then here comes China on Inauguration Day and drops open source AI. So kind of that example of like gatekeeping all the knowledge, or here, it's open source. Go do with it as you will. And I think the world's shifting that way.
Yeah. And I wonder how that will affect, construction, because I think there's benefits to it with what we, maybe, administratively, right? But AI is not going to go hang drywall.
100%.
Right?
No.
It will, it's not going to go wire a house, but, can it help us with, maybe writing better training programs?
I think we could get it to pack concrete to the back for us.
Right? So are there opportunities there? Without a doubt. And I think it's going to be really helpful. And maybe that's, helping write just a basic training program or helping create career paths.
It's already done it for me in a lot of ways that, like, training manuals and SOPs and HR, I've been having a ball with it, and then looking it over. But I think that it's still a marriage, right? You still have to have that human interaction with that other element.
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt.
So look at things 10 years from now. So, I'm sure you're aware that, we're actually kind of getting somewhere with AI. Robots are kind of becoming a pretty real thing. Self-driving cars are right around the corner.
Yeah, someone here yesterday.
The Waymos, yeah. You can sit in your office in Reno and control an excavator in Texas now. Where do you see things like maybe in 10 years from now that's like, maybe somebody didn't think of that, or maybe they did?
Well, I think that's what's exciting about the industry is that I think it's limitless on where we can go with it. And I think that's something we should really be talking about to attract that next generation of workforce. Like, hey, there's some cool things that are coming. especially with, offsite construction and component construction and modular and all these different, new ways to build that are, more, I guess, more exciting and more fun than the old typical, like, go out in the snow and, go stick frame this house when, break your back. And, I know framers that say they were 6'5" and now they're, 5'8". So, it's,
Don't talk to any concrete guys then. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of advantages to that. And I think that, I think we will see robotics probably helping us more than I would have thought even 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure there's a podcast out there I did a few years ago. I was like, robots aren't going to go, build a house. And today I'm like, well, maybe. Maybe.
Build cars in factories, man. It's getting really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a robot to climb into an attic and go fix some wiring, in a remodel. But in new construction, especially in a warehouse setting with like I said, a factory assembly line of doing. There are companies out there who are utilizing this, already for framing, wall panels and whatnot, where it's really automated and only a few people. So. It is happening.
It's fascinating.
It is. It's exciting.
It's so fascinating. And even we talk about machinery and tech and where those things all go, being in the landscape industry, we're not there yet, but they have these machines that'll pick up a whole row of pavers, squeeze them together, and then set them in place and then do it again. And you're laying thousands of square feet a day instead of hundreds. You know? So, wow. So, okay. So we've talked about machinery. We've talked about your company. I want to get into just maybe how somebody, like, what is the process like? I come to you and I say, Josh, I'm ready. I need help.
As an employer.
As an employer, sure. I mean, what is it that Ground Up Careers is going to help me with, offer me? You're welcome to kind of throw any pricing out there or not and keep that a conversation. I totally understand that. But, like, help me help you get that message out so maybe a couple people that watch this can actually contact you.
So I think, actually, I know that workforce is the number one challenge that every company faces. If you're a trade company who has employees in the field, it's the number one issue I think all of us face. Even as a GC with the subs that we hire, we see it every single day. And so we do some self-perform in our business. We do some carpentry, we do some demo. But we sub out a majority of what we do. We need electricians, we need drywall, we need concrete, we need all those guys. So I know it firsthand from owning, my own subcontracting company to owning Ground Up Careers, and now as also a GC company, that workforce is number one. What I also know is that companies in construction are overwhelmingly small shops. Like, 70% of construction companies have less than 30 employees, right? It's an overwhelming, small mom and pop, small family businesses. And those are the companies that we want to work with the most. That's who we really focus on.
That's your target audience.
They need the help the most. They don't have an HR department. They don't have a hiring manager. They don't have, that. They've got, the owner and, maybe the wife or the other is involved. And then you've got your workforce and the owner's doing everything, right?
I agree.
And so a lot of times they're going to say, hey, accounting, please put a job ad out, right? Or, hey, manager, go put a job ad out. And so they're trying to figure that out, and they're going to post it on ZipRecruiter or Indeed. And so our goal is to help take that pain away from them and do everything for them on the hiring side. And so what we've found is that the typical recruiting model in construction is never going to work. Who's going to pay 25% of a $70,000 a year salary for one employee? It's just not sustainable. I don't think it's affordable. I don't think that it's even right for the industry, but that's the recruiting model that you see is 25% of first year salary. So you hire somebody, you hire a project manager at $100,000 a year, you're going to pay $25,000 immediately out of your, but it happens, it happens every day. And that's crazy to me.
At scale, I guess I could kind of make a case for it, but like I don't think the 70% of companies with under that many employees has $25,000 to just hope this works.
Yeah, and then so these companies will offer you a 90-day guarantee, and if it doesn't work out, then they'll find somebody else for you. So whatever, but it's too much money in my opinion. And so our focus is really on the trade level positions. Like, will we help you find a superintendent or a project manager or an estimator? Absolutely, we will. And those jobs are equally as important, but we need the workforce in
You
the
need
field
hands.
doing the work.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's where our focus
Not
is
too
at.
many chefs.
And so we decided as a company that we can make the biggest impact to the industry if we can really showcase and highlight these companies who are doing a service to the industry by providing good benefits, providing time off, providing a career path.
Okay.
And so those companies are the ones that we really want to work for, and we just do a flat fee for each position for hiring. And so
Okay.
for like a trade level position, it's simple. We charge $500, and we'll run that ad.
$500?
Mhm, and we'll run that ad until it's filled for each position. And so there's not you go to Indeed.
I could do that.
Yeah, you go to Indeed. You want to go run an ad for 30 days on Indeed. They're going to charge you, $300 to boost it and to get it out there. Mm-hmm. And then you as the owner have to sift through the resumes, and you have to go look at all of them. You got to go call them. It's a lot of work. And so we're trying to take that work away from the owner and say, listen, if you need a job ad, call us. It's a simple form you fill out. We'll post it, charge you $500. We'll post it. We'll screen the resumes for you, and we'll only send you guys we think or girls that you think you want to hire.
I love
And so we
this.
take all this strain off the business owner and just utilize us. And so we have our platform, groundupcareers.com, is a job board. It's not a job board in the sense of like Indeed or ZipRecruiter. It's very specific to your area. So we have it in Arizona, California, and Nevada.
Okay.
We're slowly growing across the country, but that's the whole point, is to help the business owner take something off of their plate because they are so busy doing everything else. And so it's not expensive. It's not hard to do. And it alleviates the stress of them of having to go post the job ad, write a professional job ad. I can tell you, I have stories and stories of, horrible job ads that are posted out there.
Share the worst one or something you've come across where you're like, this can't even be real.
The best one I saw was, need an experienced painter, must be able to paint walls, $25 an hour to start, need you tomorrow. That was the ad.
It's fantastic.
And I'm like, okay, that's attractive,
Yeah.
So, we write the job ads for them. We craft them in a way that is, highlighting the company in a way that's positive and showing why they should work, why someone should work there.
So you're just really, I love this. So you're positioning yourself as a growth partner for these businesses who you see as kind of like they've got it figured out. They're ready to spend I think the right amount of money. I think that's very fair. It's like, okay, I can actually do this, and then you're building loyalty. I'm going to call you on the next one and the next one. And hey, we built this team out. Now can you help me source this guy? I love that.
Yeah. And then what we do is, we have other ancillary services that we'll offer for companies, as like, as far as like a company blueprint, where if somebody really wants to take their company to that next level and they don't have the knowledge or the skills to do that, we'll help them with that. So
tell me more about that.
So what
does that mean?
Well, a lot of companies will be, hey, I'm, Tony's Pavers at gmail.com. Like, let's get an email that is your name at yourcompany.com. That's just business 101.
Yeah.
But how many do you see that it's,
a lot?
It's overwhelming because they just
don't email me.
Yeah, or don't.
Yeah.
So or they don't have benefits in place, right? So they don't have health insurance for their employees. So we'll help them do that. Or they don't have a nice company website. So we have that company blueprint kind of helps them get set up for the future. So that's more of a consulting side of what we'll offer.
Okay.
But that helps them get things set up so they can start to grow. Because a
Make
lot of
it
these guys,
sustainable, yeah.
Most construction business owners are really good plumbers, really good electricians, really good carpenters. They're not necessarily business owners. Mm-hmm. And so they need the help to get them to that next level where they can get out of the field, right? Work on their business, hire the right team so they can actually build something that's sustainable instead of just being the guy that's out there doing all the work and then coming home doing the accounting and then trying to post a job ad and then, and then people get burnt out quickly.
1,000%. I've said it probably 5 times, but you're so right about these great skilled tradesmen. They're great at their craft.
Great.
Like amazing. And so they decide to open a business because everybody tells them they should, but they're not businessmen.
Yep.
Or they're great businessmen and they see people making money in the trades. So they say, well, I'm going to start a trades business with no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's funny because it's rarely where I see kind of this hybrid of great businessmen, great tradesmen. I love that you brought that up and that you're focusing on that.
Well, because they need help. They
do.
And there's so much opportunity.
We all do.
We all do.
I need help. Help me.
I need help every day.
Yeah.
But there's so much opportunity in construction. It's unlimited opportunity to grow a business to be whatever you want it to be. Not everybody has aspirations of having 500 employees and doing $1 billion in revenue. A lot of people would be really happy to do $5 or $6 million a year, make a couple $100,000 a year, be able to have some time off and go on vacation. That's the dream, right? And if we can help companies get there, then we're creating a better story in the industry to show people that, hey, there's good companies that will give you good benefits, that will give you paid time off, that will take care of you. And that's a story we can tell to attract people to the industry. And so that's where the focus came from.
I like you talking about telling stories. Have you kind of created like a highlight board yet? Because I feel like people, customers, the general population needs to know that, like, and this could get kind of, gray area, but like, yeah, Ground Up Careers vetted these guys, or look at what these guys are doing, dun, 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 dun. Like almost like a Better Business Bureau, but for more like, how do you treat your employees instead of what kind of work do you do? Does that exist?
Well, so that's our message to our candidates. So when we're out, we have two fronts of what we do. We are attracting companies that want to work with us to help them hire and attract talent, but we're also trying to find the candidates. And our message to the candidates is like, if you go on Indeed, or if you go on ZipRecruiter, or you go to Monster, whatever these job boards are, you have no idea who that company is unless you were referred to them or you know them. So you have no idea. But if you come to us, we've already talked to the business owner, we've talked to the company, we know that there's somebody that you should want to go work for, because I don't work with I've turned away plenty of companies that I'm saying, you're just not ready, we're not ready to work with you because you're not quite there yet. And that's strictly because they have a mindset of, well, I just need this guy because I need this job. Yeah. Okay, well, that's not helping the industry. That's not helping the employee. It's not helping you as the employer. It's not helping anybody. You're just trying to fill a hole because you're so reactive to either a guy quit, right? Or I got this new contract and now I just got to get this done. I got to get this done. It's like, okay, well, what are you doing for the employee? How are you giving them, something so they give you, like they work together.
Very symmetrical.
You need to be together as a team.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And so when candidates come to us and they're looking for a job, they know that the company we're going to refer them to is a good company.
What a strong pull-through message for anybody watching this that's in the construction industry, and maybe you're at a spot you don't want to be at or you want to get in. Ground Up Careers has got your back. I love that. You said something there that I think is construction 101, and like probably 8 out of 10 construction guys are guilty of this, but you said the word reactive.
Yeah.
Proactive is the inverse of that. Instead of reacting to something, you're proactively planning for something. Do you help kind of on that front too? Once people are kind of looped in with you, like let's say I come on board, I'm like, man, I'm all about this. I really like what you're doing. Are you kind of holding my hand a little bit as we go along?
So that's absolutely what we do and we help with, because most construction companies are very reactive. They just kind of are just reacting to the phone call they get or reacting to the email, or they're not planning ahead. And so but it's hard. It is hard. Construction is a very hard business, especially when you're a small company, with 10 or 15 employees and most of them are in the field, and you're the owner running everything. It's hard to get ahead of it. So you're always kind of playing catch up. You're never getting ahead of it when you're at that level or that size, unless you are putting these systems in place to help you get there. But you need to have those things in place. You need to have technology in your company. You have to. If you don't have your guys, clocking in and out digitally on a phone, so that way it's feeding directly into your payroll, so you can just click a button. Payroll's taking you 3 or 4 hours to do versus 10 minutes, right? So you can save a lot of time just with one little thing. So we help companies institute technology into their program. That's part of our company blueprint, where if they don't have anything, we'll help you get that set up and train. And same thing with all of your estimates and your bidding. Like, so many times, they're doing it on a Word document. How are you tracking that? How are you following up on those bids? And so, there's a variety of programs you can use. You've got, I use Buildertrend. I'm a huge fan of Buildertrend.
I used to use Buildertrend when I was doing remodels and stuff, and I absolutely loved it.
I love it. But, it's expensive. It's $1,000 a month for the full service that we use. But it runs my business.
It's a huge tool.
I love it. It works great. But there's other programs out there that don't cost as much, that aren't necessarily as robust, that you may, that might be better for your company.
Well, and all the tradesmen don't need Buildertrend per se, or there's a Buildertrend Lite, but there's other avenues. I'm using Jobber right now.
Yeah, Jobber is a good one.
I'm probably going to switch to Job Nimbus here any day now, just because of the automations and just the, Jobber's great for, I think, more like plumber, electrician, HVAC guy. I'm in this weird spot where I'm not a builder, but I'm not, a tradie, if you will. I'm kind of doing, landscape, very, very specific construction.
Yeah.
So
But having something is better than nothing.
Amen.
And if you can get those to work together, you can save yourself a lot of time and start to work to get ahead of your business. So you're focused on the future of your business. You're focused on the next project, and everything behind you is working the way it should, right? And that's the dream. That's where you want to be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is it going to happen every day? No, but if you have that as your guiding light of where you want to be, you can work towards that. But you have to, workforce, I keep going back to it because it's what we do, but it's number one. Like if you have a good crew, if you have a good team, they're going to make everything happen seamlessly for you so you can go work on the rest of the business and bring in more business and grow to where you want to be. Like I said, if you want to do, 3 or 4 million a year and make a couple $100,000 and be able to have time off, that's perfect, right? If you have dreams of, having 10 locations and doing 100 million a year, cool. Like, whatever we need it all, right?
Yeah.
We need the small mom and pop shops. We also need the big companies, but overwhelmingly construction is small mom and pop shops.
Yeah, and I think he hit on something there too that strikes a chord for me, and I guess I've been on both sides of it, so I can see it. But when we talk about the guys, they need to understand that you need the time to go and get the work to put in front of them,
Yep.
or to manage the business well enough so that we can have that extra cash because we did so good and planned so efficiently that we can pay for your healthcare benefits. So it is kind of like this company employee symbiotic relationship.
Or you can provide nice uniforms and nice gear, or you can provide work trucks. Like how many companies are out there having their employees drive their own vehicles?
Yeah.
It's tough. It's not easy to go buy a truck and pay for it,
or buy 6 of them.
buy 6 of them. It's tough. And so even we fight through that every day. I've got a handful of company trucks, and I've got a handful of guys who are driving their own vehicles. And the goal is to make sure they all have their own company truck, but it's expensive.
I'm on the same page on so much of this. This is so fun.
Yeah, and so I because I've been in it for so long, and I've been on both sides of the fence as a subcontractor and as a GC and on the consulting side with Ground Up, that I have I have an understanding and sympathy for these business owners because I've been through it all, and it's a hard business. And so that's why I really thought with Ground Up that if we can provide a service to help them and not kill their pocketbooks, we can provide a good value to them, and at the same time help the industry by highlighting these companies and saying, this is a good company to work for, and this is who you should go work for. And if we can take the employees from bad companies and put them into the good companies and make the good companies bigger and more successful, and the bad companies go away, our industry starts to get better every day.
Man, I love this. How big? What's your growth strategy for Ground Up? I know you're in 3 or 4 states already. Are you hoping to be nationwide? Are you taking baby steps on purpose? Tell me a little bit more about the vision.
So when we first started Ground Up, I had this grand idea that we were going to be this big nationwide company, and we're going to create this new job board that's going to be better than everything else out there, and it's going to be construction specific, and we're going to compete against Indeed and ZipRecruiter, and we're going to be better. And so I spent a lot of time, a lot of money building this big, robust platform.
Yeah.
And it was a complete failure. Complete disaster.
Okay.
Lost a lot of money, a lot of time.
Okay.
But we built this amazing
So you've
platform.
got the platform still.
No, we scrapped it. It's
You
gone.
said no thanks.
It's gone.
Okay.
Because we had built it, and we had built the idea where these companies could go on there and build their own page, essentially, like you would on LinkedIn,
Kinda
and say,
digging that.
who you are and what do you do and why should people work for you, and really highlight your company, and then post your jobs, and then now we'll help you attract people. So we did that.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
great, right? Sounds
Yeah.
great. Thought it was awesome. I had this grand idea.
Oh, I've been there too already.
So we built it. We go to the market and we go start to sell our services, and it was a subscription model. You pay for the year, and this is what you get, and you get to post your jobs. And people were like, "Oh, that's great." But then our focus again is the small mom and pop shop. So it's like going to, your local electrician has got 6 electricians, and he's running the show. It's like, hey, here it is. Go upload your logo. Go write a bio. Go create this. Go write your job. So here, it's all for you. Go to work. They would never get it done. They don't have the time.
Yeah.
It's hard. And then, do they have a logo that's in the right format? Well, can they build it the right way?
Back up a little bit.
Right? So it became another thing that was a hindrance to the industry
A
rather than a
barrier
help.
you didn't kind of foresee. I totally get that.
Yeah, we weren't helping at all.
Yeah.
We were just adding another tool, another thing for you to go do as a business owner so that we can make a bunch of money. And that's really what it was. And that was never going to work. And so we've kind of continued to pivot. And through this, we've also found that construction is very local. Construction is not nationwide. right? Construction is very local. It's very mom and pop. It's very in your own city. It's here. So to have this big national platform that's nationwide, like, you're not connecting with that local community. And so that's why we've scaled everything back and have really focused on the West Coast, where I am now because we're here, and been in the community itself, so we can really connect with the people who live there and the people who own businesses there, because it is a very local thing, and you need to be involved in your local community. If you're gonna make a difference in the industry, you need to be involved in, talking to the high schools. You need to be involved with your local building associations. You need to be involved with, different, charity events that you go to.
Do you see, so you went like this and then you scaled it way back. Do you see yourself kind of slowly kind of like having ambassadors or something of regions and maybe kind of going back the other way? Because I love everything you're saying and I agree with everything you're saying, and we absolutely need this, because not only do we have a labor shortage now, I think it just gets a lot worse moving forward as people think of construction with the stigmatisms they've got for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, so that is the goal, is to have what we call ground-up career centers in local communities around.
Killer.
And so we want to be a resource for both people. We are a resource for the companies, but also as well for the employees, because how many employees in the trades, they don't have a resume. They have not written a resume. And do we really need a resume? I mean, especially for somebody who has no experience. So how do we help them, get in front of companies to get an opportunity? And how do we help the companies, attract these people to their companies? So we have career centers that we open up in different little, areas of the town. And that way it's a resource for people to go to and be there for construction careers. And we can help the companies and help the employees come together and just be a resource. So that is the plan, is to slowly kind of go across the country. Eventually, yes, I'd love to have one in every state. It'd be awesome.
Do you see yourself getting into the training at all?
So I would love to, more than anything. I've dove into it several times. I actually went to NCCER and became a craft instructor for them, went through all the training out in Florida. Cool. Got certified to do it. Part of this grand idea, we're going to do all these things, and then it was like, okay, well, we need to slow down and go back a little bit.
That's good, though. That's how things start. I think it's kind of like you push this far and then you get pushed back a little, and then you push this far and then you get pushed back a little. Like, the only other place I've seen that analogy, and it's like dead nuts honest, is with taxes, right? Yeah. There used to be no taxes, and then there's a bunch of taxes and the people push back, but they left a little. Yeah. And then they push back and then they left a little. And so I think you're onto something. I think you just keep pushing the envelope, even if it pushes back. Yeah, I really want to support you and this mission you're on. Yeah,
I'll be honest. It's been a struggle. It's not been. This is, as an entrepreneur, my entire life, starting companies, sold a couple of different companies. This has been the hardest one by far, and it's been the most challenging. And I don't think it should be, because workforce is the most important thing. But we get a lot of pushback from companies.
Seems like it should solve itself.
We get a lot of pushback from companies who don't want to spend, the money or the time to develop and train, because it's expensive and it's time consuming. So when it comes to our recruiting side of things, we try to make it as affordable as possible just to help those companies. So I think, $500 is extremely reasonable. It takes a bunch of pressure off of the owner, and we're helping them find the people that they need for their company. We do charge a little bit more for the supervisory position, so we charge $1,500 for those. Sure. Because those are, we're spending time.
It requires some vetting.
It does, and we're spending a lot more money with LinkedIn Recruiter, because you're going to find those positions more on. You're not going to find a lot of plumbers on LinkedIn.
Well, you're not getting them right out of high school, so no. I can totally understand that you need the two different.
So we charge a little bit more for those, but so that recruiting side of things is fine, and I think we are doing a service to the industry and helping the business owners, and that's the goal with that. But we're not helping the industry as a whole, because, again, if I'm just taking somebody from company A, put them with company B, we're not helping. And so training is where we actually make the biggest difference. And so, I would love to. We have the programs in place. We have curriculums that are there. There are several companies out there that have them, but they need to be instituted into your company. I believe that. I don't think that you should be doing. I really don't think outsourced training is the answer.
I think
except for like ABC. So Associated Builders and Contractors has an incredible electrical apprentice program, but electrical requires very specific training and knowledge, because you're dealing with power. You have to have those certifications. So ABC is great for that outsource training, right? But
I think you're right, but I'll push back and say I do think it's a blend, because I think about something like installing pavers. Like that should be, coming from the paver manufacturers, and there's going to be, hey, there's this uniform way that we want this installed. We're going to teach you how to do that.
How are they doing that?
Yeah. Are the companies?
Yeah, the paver companies.
I'm seeing great success finding that out there. Yes.
Awesome.
And there's ICPI, which I think recently kind of got dissolved, and now really the SHA is kind of taken on that role. I think they're just in the interim of switching over. But so where I, was previously, there was a way that you installed hardy plank. There was a way that you installed, kitchen cabinets for the most part. And I think it's a little bit of both. It's I think as business owners, we're going to need to lean on the vendors. So I think that's been one of the interesting things for me is I've been able to just randomly connect with so many vendors in such a short period of time. We all want the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think you've got the hub for it. I think you've got the hub for what everybody really wants and what everybody really needs. And that's, I think, why I was so excited to sit down with you and pick your brain and really see what you're all about, because you nail it on every single front.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Excuse me. The other, I think the other piece to this puzzle that needs to be talked about is, immigration and a legal workforce. And
Please.
So one of my grand ideas with Ground Up would be, if we could figure out how to get within a pathway to citizenship through the trades. And I think that's a huge avenue that we need, because that culture, that generation, they want to work. They want the careers,
1,000%.
They want the money, but they need to come here legally, and I do believe that. And so if there's a pathway to citizenship in the U.S. through a trade program, I think that would be a huge help to the industry.
I think that's frigging genius.
And I think that the way that I would see that working with Ground Up specifically is that if we could get in and somehow manage that program where we're getting people applying that want to come here, and they apply and they get vetted, and then we bring them over here through a work visa program, and they get hired with a company, right? They get English as a second language so they can learn the language. They pay their taxes. You don't break the law, right? You do that for 4 years. Then you should earn your citizenship. And if we can do that process, how much more could we bring into our industry and help people who want to get out of these other countries who are not great countries? America is the land of opportunity, right? We're supposed to be open and
It's
free.
literally why everybody wants to come here.
Yeah.
Say what you will, but show me a better place than America.
No, there isn't.
You're not going to find it.
No.
Definitely not for opportunity, but I absolutely love where your head's at on this, So we get an immigration lawyer, we talk to a senator, we draft a quick bill. This makes sense.
Yeah.
This is very clean cut and logical.
And I think it's a must. I think you have to, at
It's
the
either
same
or,
time,
because if you get rid of them all, guess what?
Yeah.
You're just not going to have any landscaping.
No.
You're not going to have any building. The construction industry.
No, but they need to be, good citizens of our country. They need to not break the law. They need to pay taxes. They need to learn English as a second language, because that's what we speak in this country. And I wish I was bilingual. I wish that I learned Spanish. I really do. And I think I'm probably too old now, but I would love to
You're
try.
not, no.
My kids are in.
Just takes a year in Cabo. That's all.
There you go. My kids are learning it, and so I'm trying to learn it with them, because we have Hispanic people that work for us that speak very little English, and so we use
100%.
Google Translate. It works pretty good, but I think that if you can make them a good part of society, and again, we provide them a service, they're providing a service, we all work together, we're making the industry better, we're building nice buildings, we're providing better quality, we're maybe bringing down costs for housing as well. I think that's probably our best solution for the industry is a workforce program, through immigration.
Wow. That was the nugget. That was, you really turned over a rock there at the end. You were saving that, weren't you?
No.
No, but it came out. No,
Yeah.
I literally love that so much. I mean, I've had that conversation. I've contacted probably 6 immigration lawyers, and nobody's called me back.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I'm like, there's got to be a better way, And then I talked to my banker. I'm like, what do we got to do? How do I pay these guys? How do we make this legit?
Yep.
It's hugely impossible.
It is, especially if they're already here. So I have the same problem. Same thing. I contacted immigration lawyers. Say, hey, I've got a couple of guys came here illegally from Honduras.
Mm-hmm.
They want to work. I would love to put them to work. How do I do this? How do I help them? Because they're good dudes. They're family guys. They came from a bad country. They got here, but now because they're already here, they were like, told me that my hands are like, I can't do anything. I'm like,
This gets kind of challenging. I love where your head's at on that, because the reality is, if they don't work for you and they don't work for me, they're going to go work for somebody else.
100%.
And so where I get frustrated and want to bang my head against the wall is like, I want to do the right thing.
Yep.
Can you please help me do the right thing? Nope. You're going to have to read between the lines on these 77 codes. And I think that's one of the challenges of business. Many of my friends that have had businesses that I've worked for even, and I just never had a clue, but it's almost like the system is set up to force you to try to finagle and, a little white lie, a little gray area here, and I just don't think it needs to be that way.
No, and it shouldn't be that way, because that's a workforce that we need. And that's a workforce that wants to work. And so if the argument is truly,
not only do we need them and we want them to work, they're working.
Yeah.
It's happening.
They are.
Let's just figure out how to get taxes out of the deal.
Absolutely. And let's help them become better, citizens of the country as well, by let's teach them English as a second language. Let's help them, develop, like, get bank accounts and save money and, get into retirement. Let's help them.
1,000%.
Because if they're helping us and we're helping them, we're building something that's better and we're making the industry better. And that's what it's all about. And if the argument is that, the young white kids don't want to work, then what's the other option? And again, I don't agree with that statement. I think there's plenty of young kids, coming into the workforce that want to go learn, that think construction is exciting. And even in the last few years, it's turned. People are more interested in construction. It's gotten a lot more conversation about it.
I think one of my dreams is to have Mike Rowe on. I think that would be really fun to have a round table with him, because he's been out there in the trenches and seen so much. And I think he's a big part of what made construction kind of cool again.
I agree, especially with all of his dirty jobs and what he did. And I mean, he was giving away $5 million in scholarship money for people who want to go to trades, and he couldn't give it all away.
Isn't that fascinating?
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely onto something.
Yeah.
This is not the last of our conversations. I think you can have a monthly slot on the podcast if we can figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, we should do it, because I think that at the same time, you get some business owners in here, who are in the trades, who want to make their companies better, or working on that, tell their story of how they got to where they are. Because as we said earlier, there's a lot of stories to be told in construction where people started with nothing and are now multimillionaires because they built a successful business. There's a lot of people who started with nothing and have a great career working for somebody else, who own their own home, probably own a second home even, and have made great careers in construction. And so those stories are motivational to get more people into the industry. And so the more we can share those stories, again, the more people will get into the industry and make it just better.
I am sold. Thank you so much for your time today. We're out of time.
That was quick.
It
went by fast.
It goes so fast every time. Look forward to having you in here again.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. That was fun.
Really appreciate you.
Yeah.